So Santal 33 from Labo, that's been a fragrance that I can honestly say over the last few years, I just haven't really had I don't know, the motivation to really try that fragrance just based off of what other people have said about that fragrance. A lot of people have said that the fragrance smells like pickles pretty much. So that was pretty much all I needed to really hear to say, hey, that's probably not going to be a fragrance for me. Also, just looking up the notes don't necessarily look that appealing to me, but I do have here Stallion 53 from Emper Perfumes. This was actually sent to me for free by Salim over there at Bandier Fragrance. So definitely shout out to Salim at Bandier Fragrance. I'll have a link in the description to purchase this fragrance from Bandier Fragrance on this video. So he sent this fragrance over to me as well as Tempête when I went ahead and actually purchased L'Infinite, from Bandier Fragrance. So he sent those two fragrances to me in that same package for free. So I'm getting around now to basically doing my comparison video on this one, as I've just recently gotten a sample here of Santal 33 directly from Labo. So as you can see, the presentation on this box here, it looks just like the Labo presentation, really sort of industrial and minimalistic. So you've got the name of the fragrance here, Stallion 53, as well as the bottle size. And then you've got the sticker here, Stallion 53. It's got the ingredients and stuff like that on the sticker, as well as like the barcode down here. Nothing really on the other parts of the box. You've got like these sort of symbols here, and then you've got the batch, manufacturer date and stuff like that over here. This is a November of 2023 bottle. All right, so fairly new. Once you open this up, you've got Stallion 53 sits in there like that. All right, and then as you can see, the bottle itself looks a lot like the sort of Labo bottles. All right, so you've got the Stallion 53 here, the bottle size, the concentration, and then you've got this down here basically describing how the fragrance smells. So it says a distinctive, rich, woody fragrance that draws out your natural charisma and charm. Fragrance developed in France, made in UAE. All right. And then also, as you all know, with all Emper Perfumes fragrances, the sprayer is going to be this really nice pressurized, sprayer that I wish all fragrance brands would just pretty much adopt at this point. This is a very nice sprayer. So let's get straight into how these two smell. All right, so I have the Stallion 53 on this one, the Labo Santal 33 on this one. Pretty much in the opening, these two, they smell a lot alike. I would say the opening, this is going to be about 80 to 85% of what Santal 33 is. So just to kind of go over the notes in this fragrance are sandalwood, leather, papyrus, Virginia cedar, cardamom, violet, iris, and amber. When you first spray the fragrances on, I would say the main things that you get, at least from the original, the Santal 33, that I pick up on anyway, is I get a lot of rich, warm, creamy sandalwood. I would say some Virginia cedar, you get that, and then you get a lot of cardamom. I would say the Stallion 53, you get a lot more of that Virginia cedar, and you're not really getting as much of that sort of warm, creamy, sandalwood that you're getting in the Santal 33. And that, I would say, is going to be the main difference that you're going to notice between the two fragrances. The Santal 33 with that sandalwood note, that adds like this sort of warmth to the fragrance that you don't necessarily get from the Stallion 53 from Emper Perfumes. This one definitely comes off as being, I would say, a lot more on kind of like the sort of like the drier, bitter, woody side. Whereas this one, the Santal 33, like I said, it comes off like a lot more creamier, a lot warmer. Definitely, I'm enjoying the way that the Santal 33 smells over the Stallion 53. Now, overall, this scent profile, I would say, is still not, it's not a scent profile for me. So, I mean, after I do the video on this, I won't be wearing this fragrance and I won't be wearing the Santal 33. It's just not a fragrance that really appeals to me. It's not really anything that I want to smell like. I kind of get how some people say that the scent profile, it smells like pickles. I get that, I guess, kind of like from a surface level. So like if you were to just kind of smell this in the air, or maybe if you're not someone who is that familiar with niche perfumes and you kind of smell this for the first time, and this is like your first sort of niche perfume that you smelled, I could kind of see where your brand would kind of take you to, okay, this smells like pickles. But I feel like if you have any kind of, any kind of experience with niche perfumes and you really kind of dig deep into this, you really don't get much of a pickle vibe from this at all. Like I said, this just smells very sort of woody, creamy, and you get like this slight sort of fresh spiciness from the cardamom. Once this starts to dry down, I feel like you do sort of get a slightly sort of floral aspect from like the violet and the iris. But those notes I feel like aren't necessarily like super strong when it comes to this fragrance. This, for the most part, is like a very sort of woody fragrance, pretty much. A woody, slightly fresh, spicy sort of fragrance, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, in the opening, the Emper perfumes is going to be about 80 to 85%. And then I would say once the fragrances start to dry down, that's when the Emper perfumes fragrance starts to become a lot closer, I would say, to the Labo. The Stallion 53 in the dry down is going to be about, I would say, 90+% close to the Labo. It is still going to be lacking that sandalwood note, in my opinion. But it definitely, I would say, kind of carries all of the other aspects of the fragrance pretty accurately. The only difference is the quality just is not going to be as good as what it is in the Labo, which obviously you're not going to really expect that from a fragrance that I believe is about $35 or so. I'll have a link to where you can, purchase this fragrance, in the description. But, again, this fragrance, for how close it comes, compared to the price, I would say is a pretty solid clone. All right. Now, in terms of the performance of the fragrance, the performance is also pretty good, but it's not as good as the Labo either. So the Labo fragrance, at least on me, is actually a pretty beast mode fragrance. It does give you very good projection, I would say, for at least like the first 2.5 hours or so. And it's gonna give you an overall longevity of 12+ hours easily. So it's definitely a fragrance that is gonna stick to your skin for a very long time, the original. But this also is gonna give you at least about, I would say, 8 or 9 hours or so. So this is also not a slouch either. It's just, again, it's not going to be as good as the Labo. All right. In terms of, I guess, when you could wear this fragrance, I mean, I guess I'm a little biased because, again, this is just not really my style. This is not really anything that appeals to me. But I kind of feel like if I'm going to judge this objectively, I feel like this is probably a fragrance that you could probably wear anytime. So, casually, even to more sort of upscale types of events and stuff like that, you could probably wear this at work. I would never wear this at work because I just don't like the fragrance in general. But you know, I would say that this is not necessarily, it's not necessarily an offensive fragrance as long as you don't spray it too much, I would say. All right. So it isn't like super beast mode to the point where it's gonna, you know, completely choke people out. I feel like, at least the Emper Perfumes version anyway. But this again is just not a fragrance that I would wear just in general. All right. If I'm gonna rate this on a scale from 1 to 10 in terms of how good of a clone this is to the original, I would say that this is at least about a solid 7.5 to 8 out of 10, pretty much. So it's not a terrible clone at all. It also, I would say, is not probably the absolute best, but for the money, this is going to be, you know, a pretty solid clone. And again, I purchased, or I got this fragrance for free from Celine over there at Banadier Fragrance. Again, he sent me this one as well as Tempête, which is the Orage clone from Louis Vuitton. So, you know, I mean, I could be sitting here hyping this fragrance up and saying that it was the best thing ever. Again, the scent profile is just not for me, but I do think that this is overall a pretty solid clone. All right, so let me know in the comments, what do you all think of this fragrance if you've smelled the Stallion 53, and also if you have smelled this, have you smelled the original from, you know, Labo, the Santal 33, and how close do you think that these fragrances come to each other? All right. So let me know in the comments. And again, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see y'all in the next video.